time for another episode of How to Make Dinner. We're gonna make these 3 delicious tahini dressings. They're so wonderful and they're so easy, and you should just really get cracking on the whole tahini dressing thing because it's just a total game changer if you haven't already, and if you're not allergic to sesame seeds. This time we're talking about a topic that I talk about a lot. It's tahini, and I love this stuff so much, and I use it a lot. I've used it in a great cookie recipe that is, I think, quite popular on the old internet, and I've used it in my tahini ranch that I made on the salad dressings, how to make any salad dressing episode, I think, which I'll link above maybe, or I'll link below. I'll link it somewhere. I know I've covered some dressings in the past, but I kind of just wanted to give you a real snapshot of 3 of my favorite tahini dressings and just show you how bloomin' easy they are. So you start with tahini, always. And I guess the magic of tahini dressing is that you don't have to add oil or like mayonnaise or anything creamy, which is really nice because it kind of just becomes creamy on its own. So basically, take some tahini, put some water in it, and you've got a really good base to add flavor to, and then that's just, it's a base for any dressing really, or any easy sauce. So I'm gonna start with my most commonly used dressing, which is lemon tahini dressing. I have this one up on the blog, and I just love having it in my fridge. It's a total fridge staple because you can dump it on anything and make it taste good. So I'm not gonna give you measurements here because I have those on the blog, and on this one, I'm actually probably just gonna eyeball it. So some tahini, about that much, and then water. Let me go get some. I like to do this part first because then I know I have the consistency that I want, and then I add the other flavors to it. So you're gonna start adding water, and it's gonna start to thicken up first, which is super weird. I don't know if you've noticed that if you've ever made peanut sauce with peanut butter, it gets thicker before it gets thinner. Isn't that? I don't really know the science behind that, but it's interesting. So you just need to keep adding more. And a spoon isn't really the best tool, but sometimes I just make bad decisions, and I'm stubborn enough to stick to them. You can see now that it's starting to get less thick and more just kind of creamy. And what I love about tahini is that, I love how versatile it is, but I love how it's so pale in color because it means that it mimics that creaminess. Like you can make a tahini dressing and it looks like it's a mayonnaise dressing. It's got the look and feel of like a creamy, oily, really, or dairy-based dressing. So I'm really just adding just enough here until I'm satisfied. If anything, I want it to be a touch thick still because I'm gonna add some lemon. So next up is the zest and juice of a lemon. I've already washed this one. I actually think the recipe says juice of half a lemon or zest of half a lemon, but rules are meant to be broken. Recipes are certainly meant to be strayed from, I think. I love microplanes for this job. And then I'll just slap this guy in half. I've lost my favorite lemon squeezer, the kind that was on the hinge. It started to go really weird and like, it started to kind of corrode, like the coating on it started coming off, so I got rid of it. Actually, it was more than corroding, it was chipping off. The actual coating, like the paint on it, was chipping. So I'm in the market for one of those glass citrus juicers, the one that kind of just is like a little dish around and then it's got a pouring thing. And so I think that's a secondhand store purchase. I've got my eyes peeled. So lemon juice, lemon zest, garlic. And then a good teaspoon of salt. Tahini, as wonderful as it is, it's really bland on its own, so it needs salt and just flavor in general. I think that's pretty much it for my easy tahini dressing. Look at that, lemon tahini dressing, so good. You can make this in a jar too. That's it. So perfect. I love this on really ice cold greens that have been blanched, like kale or chard. I love that. They're like juicy, and then sesame seeds on top. So good. Okay, that's one down. Next up is kind of similar, but it's got a bit of a kick to it. Same thing, starting with tahini. I'm gonna have so much tahini dressing in my fridge. I'm so excited. And it never really goes bad either. It lasts for a really long time. And then I'm just gonna steal this spoon. Enough water till it just kind of looks pretty close. Now this one has a little bit of a Korean flair to it. I'm no expert in Korean food, but what I do know is that there are some really, really incredible ingredients that come from Korea. And one of them is this gochugaru, which is the red chili flake that is what makes kimchi red. It's in kimchi. And it's so, it's like the most flavorful chili pepper, I feel. I don't know, it's got such a specific oomph to it. So this one has a good teaspoon of gochugaru. And sticking with the kind of Korean-y vibes, I'm gonna put in about a teaspoon of sesame oil. Oh yeah, maybe a tiny bit more. So this is perfect because sesame and sesame, right? Tahini is just sesame seed paste. I'm gonna add a clove of garlic. Again, I guess I could have pre-minced a bunch of garlic, but I didn't. And also a little chunk of ginger. So you can use dried ginger here, like ground ginger, which is pretty nice. And once it sits in the dressing for a while, it pretty much like rehydrates, and it's really good. Ground ginger is a treat. But I'm gonna use fresh because I have my microplane out and I have fresh ginger, so why not? I will say, microplanes do get dull after a while. I've had to replace mine once because the kind of blades just kind of flatten out. Okay, so apparently I'm out of rice wine vinegar, but I would put that in normally, but because I'm out, I'll just use a bit of cider vinegar. And for the salty component, you can use soy sauce, but I kind of like fish sauce. It's hard to open. Obviously, if you're vegetarian, you wouldn't use fish sauce, but I'm not. Give that a little swirl. Now, this one is so good on rice bowls. So if you got a little rice bowl concoction, oh man, this is so good. And any salad too, it's delicious. Ooh, it's so good. Okay, so ready for my next rice bowl. This next one is a little bit of a spin on a green goddess dressing. And I hadn't made green goddess in a while, but I remembered it from cooking school. And so to refresh my memory, I busted out my cooking school textbook, which I think is pretty fun. I'm gonna make it a little bit differently than what it says in here, but I have this thought that if I ever run out of ideas for this show, I'm just gonna start working my way through my cooking school textbook, one recipe at a time. Maybe you can let me know in the comments if you would watch the show, if that's what I did. Or if you're just interested in me doing that, that'd be great. Like free cooking school, right? Okay, so first in for this one is gonna be the water, just because Vitamix is like it when you start with water. And then I'm gonna put a splash of cider vinegar. Ooh, that was a big splash. And a lemon. Just the juice this time. In my cookbook here, it says to use everything by weight, like even the herbs and stuff. which usually I'd be all about, but I thought weighing herbs might not be your cup of tea, so I decided to just eyeball it. So I've got a bunch of cilantro. It's actually like a half of a bunch. Half of a bunch of parsley, fresh flat leaf parsley. And I don't really care about the stem. I guess I don't really care about the stems in here because the Vitamix just does such a good job of pulverizing them. And then I've got this bunch of really beautiful green onions. You can use chives. I know that Green Goddess typically has tarragon in it, but I can never find tarragon that isn't in one of those plastic clamshells in the grocery store, and I just like kind of hate buying those, so I try to avoid it. So I figure I'll just leave it out. Tons of herbs. So you can see that this is like, the proportion of herbs in this recipe is pretty massive. So let's just dump in the tahini. I'm gonna eyeball it, like with everything, that much. And I might as well throw in some salt. I'm pretty sure we'll need at least a teaspoon for this. Did I put garlic in already? I think I want garlic too. I love Vitamix. You can just chuck it in. It's gonna get loud. Ready? Ooh. Oh, it's not that loud. So far we're good. What color that just transformed, hey? In a heartbeat. So that looks amazing. I'm gonna taste it. Ooh, this is delicious. It's so fresh. I'm gonna pour it into something. I'm gonna try and recreate the recipe for this one and stick it down below because this is really good. And the thickness, you can play by ear. You can thin it out if you want or if you need to. Look at this. Beautiful stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna scrape this, but not on camera. Look, you guys, that's a winner. Do I have something to dip in that, I wonder? I just had to go get something so I could dip it in because it's just too good. So I got a carrot. Any salad, any vegetable, any fish. Oh my God, this drizzled over fish or chicken. What else? Tossed with like a tofu salad would be really good. Tossed with a chickpea salad. White beans. Ooh, the white bean and tuna thing that I made last year. White bean and tuna salad with this. This is good. This is so good. And all those greens. You're basically dressing your salad with more salad. Right? Okay. That's it for the tahini dressings episode. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode. I hope that you found this enlightening. I hope I just showed you how easy it is to make tahini into any delicious salad dressing. It's so good. And how you can use these for so many different things. Salads, rice bowls, chicken, fish, grilled veggies. What else? I mean, I would even dare to say that you could toss some pasta with this. Like, this is almost like a pesto-y kind of vibe if you toss some noodles. Anyway, they're really good. I hope you make them. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Just gonna get right into it.